Masechet Sanhedrin Daf Ayin Bet Nu Mishnah Hababa Machteret Nidon Al Shem Sofo. We've been talking about Ben Sorer Umoreh, who didn't do anything so bad to deserve capital punishment, but he is killed because of his trajectory. We see where he's going, and therefore Ben Sorer Umoreh is killed for his future. And we have another example of that: someone who is a robber that comes through a tunnel. He tunnels into someone's home. He comes in the night when he's hoping to avoid seeing anyone. We understand what's going to happen. If he confronts the homeowner confronts him and tries to stop him, then the robber will have no choice essentially but to kill the homeowner, and therefore the homeowner is allowed to strike first, defend himself, and kill the robber. Therefore, the robber has no rights. He is judged based on what is going to happen in the future. The Gemara will elaborate. Haya baba machteret v'shabaret echavit. Im yesh lo damim chayav. Im en lo damim patur. If this thief was tunneling into the house, and while he was breaking into the house, he broke a barrel. Does he have to pay for the barrel? Well, it depends. If he has damim, if he has blood, literally, it means if he has a life. It's clear that he's not going to kill the homeowner. Maybe he's a close relative or friend of the homeowner, and although he's coming and breaking in to steal something, it could happen, but it's not gonna lead to murder if it's clear, or he's not armed, so it's clear that the robber is not going to kill the homeowner. That means yesh lo damim, he has life, and therefore it's like anyone who causes damage. If you cause damage, you have to pay. But im en lo damim means the robber has no blood, meaning he is like dead already. If he is coming with possible intent to kill, then his life is, it's like he's already dead, and therefore he's worthy of the death penalty, and he's patur. Just like if someone does an act, we're going to see this comparison. In one act, he is liable to capital punishment and to pay a fine, like if he steals on Shabbat, as we'll see. Then kimle bedrabamine, he only gets the greater punishment, which would be capital punishment. This too is the same thing. Even though this robber right now, he's not coming to court. It's not that he has violated something that is worth capital punishment and now he's asked to be killed by a court, but rather it's something equivalent. He's doing something right now for which the homeowner, if he wants, can go and shoot him, and the homeowner would be in the right in self-defense to shoot him. Therefore, his life is already zero. He's already deserving to give his life. So he has no blood. Since he is deserving to have his life taken away, he can't get two punishments, and so if he causes damage to a barrel on the way, he does not have to pay for that damage, which is kind of ironic that the guy who's more a violent robber doesn't have to pay for damage that he does while he's robbing the house. But that's a consequence of the fact that he could be killed at any moment. That's the Mishnah. Amar Rava, Amai ta'amad demachteret. Rava says, what is the reason why a homeowner is allowed to kill a thief that's breaking in? Chazaka en adam ha'amid asmo al mamono. Because we know human psychology, and we know a person is not going to stand by while someone's taking his stuff. He's not going to say, oh, well, I guess you take my TV, take my VCR, take my computer, and he's just going to stand by. So what can I do? How can I stop him? No, people are going to stand their ground. And the robber knows this. So the robber, he's trying to sneak in while the homeowner is sleeping or while he's out, and so hopefully he won't confront anyone and he'll be able to take the stuff and go. But he knows, if I go and the homeowner does stand in front of me, I know the homeowner is not going to just let me walk out with his jewelry, and if he does try to stop me, I will kill him. So that's part of the plan. And so, since we can assume that a robber through a tunnel is ready and willing to kill a homeowner, therefore, someone comes to kill you, don't wait till he kills you, kill him first. You have a right to self-defense. This guy is essentially a rodef. He's coming to kill you. So Rava explains that's the reason for Baba Machteret. Now, Amar Rav. Rav is going to add another law or elaboration to the Mishnah that's quite surprising. Hababa Machteret v'natal kelim v'yasa patur ma'ita'ama bedamim kanan hu. Rav says, if someone tunnels into a home and steals some jewelry and leaves, he doesn't have to pay it back. He's patur. Amazing. Why? Because he bought it with his blood. Since at the time he stole it, he could have been killed. He had no blood. Therefore, that's the priority. That's the bigger punishment. And even though now he got away with it, he took the jewelry, went out of the house, but since at the time that he stole it, he was liable to death. Therefore, that's what he gets. And now he didn't die, but the payment he doesn't have to pay. And so that's it. He took it, and you could bring him to court, but he doesn't have to pay back the jewelry, which is quite astounding. Amar Rava mistabera milte dera b'sheshiber deletnu aval natal lo. Rava, a couple of generations later, says, I understand the ruling of Rav, and I would agree with him if the thief broke something while he was in there looking around. He broke something, so there the item's not around anymore. Then I can understand that the thief doesn't have to pay. That was the law of the Mishnah exactly. So that I totally agree with. In fact, that's what the Mishnah said. But if he takes it and it's still intact, you're telling me that the thief can just keep the item because he broke in and risked his life? As long as you risk your life, then you can keep it? That doesn't make sense. And Rava continues. He's going to try to explain Rav, but then show that it really doesn't make sense. By Elohim, by God. Amar Rav, afilu natal. Rav says, even if he actually took it, and this item is still intact, the thief is allowed to keep it. You can't take it back from him in court. Well, let's see, maybe this is Rav's reasoning. If he has damim, meaning if he comes in the daytime, he comes, or we know he's a friend, he's a relative of someone's father who comes and breaks in. I don't know, maybe he's down and out or drunk or something, but he's loves the son and he's not going to kill him, and so yesh lo damim. So in that case, you don't have an exemption because of kim le b'draba mineh. And so let's say he does that and he comes in and by accident he breaks a vessel there, then he has to pay. This is damages he would have to pay. And what does that show? That if a thief who has damim takes something or damages something, he does it in his own possession, because this is more like someone who borrows an item, sho'el. If I borrow an item and I break it, I'm fully responsible for it, right? I borrowed it, it's in my physical possession, I broke it, I have to pay. And so, since the law is that a thief who has damim would have to pay if he breaks something by mistake, so too a thief who has no damim, who's coming and he may kill, once he takes it, once he takes it, it's in his possession. And because it is in his possession and he leaves and takes it home, that's it, it remains in his possession. Maybe that's Rav's reasoning. He's learning it from the case of yesh lo damim to en lo damim. But Rava says, but that analogy is not correct. Velahi, ki okmina rachamana b'rshuteh linyan onasin. When we said that a thief that has damim, that it's as if it's his, because if it wasn't his, in other words, if he didn't borrow it, then he wouldn't have to pay for accidentally breaking it, right? So when we say that it's in his possession, that's if it's broken by accident. Then we say it's in your possession to the extent that you're responsible to pay if it breaks. But to own it, it doesn't mean it's owned by him. There, it's still owned by the original owner, just like a sho'el. If I borrow something, it's true. If I break it, if it breaks by mistake, I have to pay because I'm a borrower. So it's in my possession to the extent that I'm responsible for it breaking. But it doesn't mean I can keep it. That's the definition of a borrower. I have to give it back. It's still owned by the original owner, even though I'm responsible for it breaking. And so the thief would be the same thing. A thief who takes something, it's in his possession, so he's responsible for breaking it, and that's why if he has damim, he would have to pay for it. But even in that case, if he didn't break it, of course he has to give it back. And so the same thing with the thief who en lo damim. So, if he breaks something on the way, en lo damim, it's because he's liable to death right at that point, so he's not going to have to pay. But if the item is intact, then surely he has to give it back because, okay, he's at best like a borrower, and the borrower eventually has to give it back afterwards. Once he takes it home, he's not liable to death anymore, and he still has the item. Okay, so then you have to give it back, Rava says. Okay, that's the end of Rava's reasoning back and forth, and he disagrees with Rav. And now we're going to have a challenge against Rav from a Mishnah. Tenan, Baba Machteret v'shibet hachavit yesh lo damim chayav, en lo damim patur. It's an objection from our Mishnah. Tamad shiber, techi en lo damim patur, hanatal lo. When someone tunnels into someone else's house and breaks a barrel, if he has damim, meaning he's a friend, he's a relative, then he has to pay for the damage. And if he has no damim, he's liable to death, the homeowner can kill him, then he does not have to pay. So in this case, when he doesn't have to pay. Why? Only because, you see, the Mishnah chose an example of where he broke something. That's when, if he has no damim, he doesn't have to pay. But we can infer from this that only in the case of breaking, he doesn't have to pay. But if he actually took the item and it's intact, it's whole, then he does have to pay. Because that's why the Mishnah picked only this case, and it could have been a bigger chidush if to say, even if it's intact and he takes it, he doesn't have to pay. He doesn't say that. Only says only if he broke it, doesn't have to pay. So we should assume that if he has it intact, he does have to pay. Challenge against the Rav. And the answer is, Hu hadin dafilu natan nameh. Rav could say, you know what? This law that he's patur is even true if he takes the item and it's intact. And maybe the Mishnah is using the example of breaking it because it wants to teach me that when he has damim, when he's a friend and is not going to be killed, then even if he breaks it by mistake, he still is liable. For sure, if he takes it, then he has to pay. But it's using this case to give us the extra chidush on the yesh lo damim. But in fact, it would be all true if it was if he took it, and if he took it also en lo damim, still patur. That's why. But this is why the Mishnah is teaching this example for the yesh lo damim case. But then we challenge that. Pishita maziku. You wouldn't have to tell us that because it's obvious. If someone causes damage, then they have to pay, right? And so, yesh lo damim, if he broke it, then of course he has to pay. You don't even have to say this. So it's not a chidush. Hakamash malan dafilu shelo bechavana. Oh, maybe it's teaching us that even if I didn't have it in mind, even if I broke it by accident. In other words, someone comes, a father comes, and so there's no danger he's going to kill, and he comes and takes something, and he breaks it by mistake. So we want to know that yesh lo damim chayav, he has to pay. Maybe that's the chidush. Even though it's a total mistake, he still has to pay. But even that is not a chidush. My kamash malan. Adamu mu'ad le'olam. We know that a human being is forewarned forever. Even if whether you do something on purpose or by mistake, you are responsible. It really doesn't matter why. If I'm driving my car and, by mistake, I ran over your property. So I can't say, it was a mistake and keep going. No, even though it was a mistake, I am responsible. That's the law. And so everybody knows that, and we don't need the Mishnah to teach us that. So there's no reason for the Mishnah to pick this case of Shiber. Tanena, Adamu ad le'olam, ben b'shogeg, ben mezid, ben be'onos, ben b'dason, kashya. We have a braita that teaches that a person is forewarned forever, whether he does it by mistake or on purpose, against, through something that is against his will, that he didn't have in mind at all, or whether he did it willingly. And so since we know that, and the Mishnah doesn't need to teach us that, therefore, the bigger chidush would have been that even if it's intact, en lo damim patur, which is what Rav wants to teach. So if that was true, it should have taught that bigger chidush, but it doesn't. And therefore, this is a challenge against Rav, and we don't answer it. But now we have a challenge the other way against Rava. Metiv Rabbeivai bar Abaye. He quotes a baraita. Hagonev kis b'Shabbat chayav, sherenit chayev b'gneva. Kodem sheyavo lidei isur Shabbat. Someone who steals a purse. I go into someone's house, I pick up the purse. At the time that I pick up the purse into my hands, that is the act of stealing. Now it's in my domain, and so and then I take it outside. So in that case, I am liable both to capital punishment for transferring from Reshut HaYachid to Reshut HaRabim for carrying, and also I have to pay because the liability for stealing happened at an earlier time when I picked it up inside the living room, and then when I removed it from the house a minute later, that's when I became liable to Shabbat. So therefore, since it happened for two different reasons, I'm liable to both. We only say Kim Lev Ramineh if it happened at the same time, with the same act. However, if I go into someone's house on Shabbat and I steal his big suitcase, and I don't lift it up, but rather I drag it on the floor. So I did not commit stealing because I didn't pick it up. It's still dragging on the floor. So I drag it out the door. In that case, I am not liable to pay for payment as a thief because the prohibition of stealing and the prohibition of sikila for carrying on Shabbat happen all at the same time. Carrying includes transferring from Reshut HaYachid to Reshut HaRabim. Even though I'm dragging, that's still Isur Sikila. And so for the very same act, as soon as I go over the threshold of the door, I have violated both prohibitions, and because it happens at the same time, I'm only liable to death penalty and I do not have to pay. And what do we see from here? That even though the item is still intact, I still have the suitcase. I just stole it, but I still have it here. It still says patur. I do not have to give it back because I'm liable to capital punishment at the same time. So this is a challenge to Rava, who said that if the item is still intact, then it remains the property of the original owner, and the thief would have to give it back. But here does not have to give it back. So question against Rava, and he could answer Hilchata dish danuhu benahara. No, this is only true that patur doesn't have to give the item back when he took the suitcase and the burglar threw it into a river and it sunk down to the bottom and it's not around anymore. But indeed, if it was around, then he would have to give the item back. Okay, so then in that case, if that's the only case this is true, so patur only if he destroyed the item, then indeed it's reconcilable with Rava. And we end this part of the discussion with a short story about Rava. Rava had some rams that were stolen from him. These are thieves that would have killed Rava had he confronted them, but luckily he didn't confront them, and so they got away and they stole the rams. However, later on, they came and returned the rams to Rava. Maybe they were caught or maybe they made teshuvah. And they said, here, we're giving you the rams back, but Rava did not accept them. And because Rava said, because this ruling came from the mouth of Rav said that since you were liable to death and lo damim, therefore you own the items and you don't have to give them back. Therefore, even though Rava disagreed, he disagreed a lot. He gave a whole discussion about why he thought Rav was wrong. Nevertheless, he had so much respect for Rav, his teacher's teacher, that he said, well, so even though I disagree logically, however, Rav said it, so I'm going to follow the halacha like Rav. And he says, no, I cannot take it back. Imagine that. These are people that came and stole from him in the middle of the night and possibly would have killed him. And yet, when they want to return Rava's own rams, Rava says, no, that's not the halacha, because you were liable to death when the time that you stole it. Now it's yours, at least according to Rav. I disagree, but Rav said so, and therefore keep the rams. Next, we have a baraita that will explain the Pesukim. Teno Rabbanan en lo damim im zarecha hashemesh alav v'chi hashemesh alav bilvad zarcha ela im barur lecha davar kashemesh she'en lo shalom imecha horgehu v'im lav al tahargehu. So the baraita is quoting the Pesukim that we can see inside. The Pasuk gives two cases. Im b'machteret yimaseh haganav, if the thief is breaking in through a tunnel and he is smitten and he dies by the homeowner, and lo damim, you can understand that the homeowner has no blood guilt because he acted in self-defense. Or you can understand it more like the way the Gemara does, that the thief has no blood. It's like he's already dead, and therefore there's no act of murder here. However, im zarcha shemesh alav, if the sun rose upon him, the Gemara will wonder, why I mean upon him? Im zarcha shemesh, it rises for everyone. and at the same time in that area. So we'll see what that means. If he comes in peace, in other words, and he's not going to be violent, then damim law, then he has blood, either that the burglar has life and you can't kill him, or that if the homeowner kills him, then he will have blood guilt. And in that case, if someone should come in and steal, then the thief will have to pay. If he doesn't have money to pay, he will be sold into slavery. And if he has the item, then he has to pay double if it's still alive and he has it. Okay, so those are the Pesukim. The Gemara right now in this Baraita is going to read the end of this Pasuk with the beginning of the next Pasuk as follows: En lo damim im zaracha hashemesh alav. He has no blood if the sun rose. So right here, En lo damim im zaracha hashemesh alav. And so we ask, does the sun rise only upon him? What do you mean, alav? Rather, what this means, that if it's clear to you, like the sun, that he is not peaceful, that he's going to be violent. This guy, he comes and you can see he has weapons, and it's someone that's really violent and scary, and for sure, if you stand up against him, he will kill you. In that case, you can kill him, but only if you're sure that he will be violent. If you're not sure, I'm not sure is he armed, is he not, is he a friend or not, then do not kill him. In the case of doubt, do not kill him according to the first Baraita. Tanya idach, im zaracha shemesh alav damim lo. This Baraita is reading this pasuk with the continuation. More natural after the whole second pasuk. If the sun rises upon him, then damim lo, the opposite of the way it read over here. And so this asks the same question. What do you mean? Does the sun rise only upon him? Rather, if it's clear to you, like the sun, that there he has peace with you, that damim lo, that he has life, that it's like your father breaking in. I don't know why he's breaking in for some reason. He really is desperate for money. He's breaking in. But he's not going to kill you. So if you know for sure that this person who's breaking in or is not armed, has no possibility of killing you, is not going to want to kill you, then don't kill him. Ve'im lav hargehu. But if you're not sure, if you have doubt, then you can kill him. You can kill the intruder. So kashya setama asetama. Both of these baraitot have no name, so we can't say that one is this rabbi and one's that rabbi. They're both setam, and they contradict each other. The first one says, if you're not sure, don't kill him. The second one says, if you're not sure, then you can kill him. La kashya, we can reconcile that they're talking about two different cases. Both are cases of some doubt, but the doubt is more this way and more that way. Kan be'av ala ben, kan be'ben ala av. The first Baraita is talking about when a father breaks in to his son's house. In that case, you can be pretty sure that the father is not going to kill the son, because the father loves his son. And so, if you're not sure, and it's a father breaking into a son, do not kill him. Whereas the second Baraita that says you can kill him, that's if a son is breaking into his father. Again, not sure. It's not like for sure a son would kill his father, but this you have to err a little bit more on the likelihood of that he would kill if the son is, a drug addict and whatever, he's desperate. And while of course parents love kids and kids love parents, but a father loves a son in a way more devoted, more absolutely than the son would love a father. And therefore, if the son breaks into the father's house and the father's not sure if the son would be violent, the father can protect himself and kill the son who is an intruder. Amarav kol de'ateh alai b'machtarta katel naleh. Rav says, anyone that would come into my house in a tunnel, I would kill him. Except for Rav Chanina bar Shela. Now why? Why would he trust him more than anyone else? Is it because he's righteous? Well, he can't be that righteous at that moment. He's breaking into a house to steal it, so he's not absolutely righteous. At least not then. Rather, Rav says, because I know he loves me like a father loves a son. And so not only literally a father and a son, but anytime there's a relationship like that, one cannot kill the intruder. Tenorabanan, damim lo, ben bechol, ben b'shabbat. Eno damin, ben bechol, ben b'shabbat. The Baraita teaches that if someone is coming and who loves you, and you can't kill them, or you know that they're not violent, then you cannot kill them. You can't kill them on a weekday, and you can't kill them on Shabbat. It doesn't matter when they're intruding. Whereas, en lo damim, if it's someone who is going to be violent, then you, the homeowner, can kill him on a weekday and also on Shabbat. Let's analyze. Bishlama en lo damin ben bechol b'Shabbat. Isterich sakada techamina midi dehava haruge betin b'Shabbat la katlinan kamashmalan de katlinan. So I understand why I need the second half of the Braita that says if a person has no damim, then whether it's a weekday or Shabbat, I'm allowed to kill the person. I need to say that because I might have thought that the homeowner killing the intruder is like a bet din killing someone who deserves capital punishment. And we don't kill someone on Shabbat who deserves capital punishment. We wait till Sunday. We don't even meet and have the verdict on Shabbat because you can't kill them on Shabbat. So I might have thought that just like we can't kill a capital punishment person on Shabbat, so too, if someone breaks into your house on Shabbat and is violent, can be violent, then you can't kill him because that would be capital punishment. Therefore, the Braita teaches us that you can kill him even on Shabbat. But the other case, the first case, where it's someone who is friendly and you know is not going to be violent and you can kill them, not on the weekday and not on Shabbat. Well, if you can't kill them on a weekday, well, all the more so you can't kill them on Shabbat when it's more difficult. You're not allowed. Generally, you don't kill on Shabbat. Even a bet din doesn't. So why would it have to teach me that? Rav Sheshet says we're talking about a case where this robber came into the house and a house fell on him. He's covered with stones. And the question is, does the homeowner have to, or can he, save his life, uncover him? And so that's what it's talking about. Whether it's Chol or Shabbat, he can remove the stones and save the life of the intruder. On a weekday, for sure, there's no problem with that. You should save his life. Whereas on Shabbat, I might have thought, okay, on Shabbat, I can't kill him, but maybe I can't violate Shabbat to save his life. I might have thought, because he's like somewhat guilty. He broke into the house, although he's not violent. So maybe, but he kind of still broke into the house. So maybe I can't violate Shabbat. No, the law is, it's the same. On a weekday or on Shabbat, I'm allowed to violate Shabbat and uncover the stones to save the guy's life. Tenor Rabbanan vehuka bechol adam vamet bechol mita sheta yachol lahamito. Now another braita that's analyzing these pisukim, it says if the burglar is smitten, means by anyone, not only the homeowner, even let's say a neighbor sees someone breaking into the neighbor's house, even the neighbor can kill the intruder. And vamet in any way, it doesn't have to be a specific type of capital punishment that he kills him. Any way he can kill him, if he can shoot him, if he can hit him on the head, any way he can stop him is okay. Bishlama vehuka bechol adam. Isterich sakadete chamina balabaitu dikim lehu de'en adam amidas mal mamono avalached lo. So we understand the beginning of the Braita that says anyone can kill him. I need to say that because I might have thought that it's only the homeowner where we say a person is not going to stand by while someone is taking and robbing his house, taking out the furniture, taking out the jewelry. He's just going to stand by idly. Surely a homeowner is going to stand up against the burglar, and then the burglar is going to want to kill him, and then so he can kill him first. So for sure the homeowner, but I might have thought that a neighbor might stand by while someone is burglarizing someone else's home. It's like, it's not my home. I don't want to get involved. Or someone just passing by, he might not want to get involved. So therefore, I might think that the burglar would not kill the neighbor or someone passing by, and therefore the passerby cannot kill the burglar. And that's why I need the pasuk to come and teach. Vehuka in passive form, if he is smitten, indeed by anyone can do so because He's a rodef, kamash malan de rodefu, v'achfilu acher nameh. It's the same as if you see A running after B to kill him. Now, for sure, B can turn around and kill A, because he's the one being pursued. But even a bystander who just happens to see this happening, he's allowed, if he has a gun, he can take it out and kill A to save B's life. So this is the same as a rodef, and since the burglar might kill the homeowner, a neighbor also can kill the burglar. But why do I need the pasuk to teach me that the homeowner or the neighbor can kill the burglar in any possible way? I can learn that already from a murderer. A murderer generally gets beheading. That's the standard capital punishment. But so I only know that we kill a murderer by the standard way of decapitation. But how do I know? Let's say I can't. The Bet Din, they don't have a sword around here, and they can't kill him in that way. Or let's say he's running away, and so we can't chop off his head, but we can sink the boat that he's in, and then he'll die by strangulation. We can throw a fire or something. So how do we know? How do you know that if you need to, the Bet Din can kill him in any other way? Because Talmud Lomar mot yumat mikol makom. It says a double language. He shall surely die. So that means he can be killed in any way. So since I can know this from mot yumat, I already know that I can kill someone who deserves capital punishment in any way possible. If I can't do it in the prescribed way, I can learn from here to hababa machteret, that I can kill the baba machteret in any way. He's coming, he's threatening my life, he deserves capital punishment, so I can kill him in any way. I don't need the word vamet to teach me that. And the answer is Shane Hatam da Markera Mot Yumat. No, over there it's different because it says Mot Yumat. So there it says Mot Yumat, a special case. Okay, I know, but we'll learn from that, right? That will be the paradigm. And then we'll learn from all other people who deserve capital punishment, including the Baba Machteret. So again, why can't we learn from there? Why do we need Vamet over here? Because this law is taught by Rosech, is also taught by Goel Hadam. If you have a blood redeemer, a relative, his relative was killed, the relative has a right to go after the murderer. And we learn there also that he can kill the murderer in any way that he can. And so since I have this law is taught in two places, so the general rule is that if the Torah teaches something in two cases, then it applies to only those two cases. Because if it wanted it to be a paradigm for all cases, it would be sufficient to teach it in one, and that would know a paradigm for all the other cases. If it teaches it in two cases, then that means only those two cases. So therefore, I cannot learn from Rotzech and Goel Hadam to our case of Baba Machteret, and that's why I need the word Vamet to teach me that is true also in Baba Machteret. Next Baraita, Tenor Banan. Machteret. Only the Machteret. Gago chasero v'karpefo minayin. So the pasuk says if he's making a tunnel in the ground, then the homeowner can kill him. So I only know if he's actually physically making a tunnel. What if he's breaking in from the roof, from the front yard, from the backyard? How do I know that also if it seems that he's going to be violent, then I can kill him also, and no matter how he's breaking in. Talmud Omar Yimaseh Hagana Mikol Makom. Pasuk says that he is found, wherever he's found, we can kill him. Imken Ma Talmud Omar Machteret. So why does Pasuk bother saying a tunnel? Because giving the usual case, usually they break in through a tunnel. They didn't have big foundations back then. They had dirt floors, so it's kind of easy to dig a little tunnel right under the floor and break in that way. Tanya idach machteret enli ela machteret kago chaserova karpefo minayin. Another braita that's similar asks the same question. Why does the pasuk say a tunnel? So I only know a tunnel. How would I know if he's breaking in another way? Talmud Omar himaseh haganab mikol makom, because the pasuk says if he's found, no matter where he's found. So why does it say tunnel? So far it's all the same. Just the next part is a little bit different. His tunnel is his warning. In other words, the homeowner does not need to give a warning and say, hey, don't you know that breaking in is not allowed, and by doing this you don't have blood guilt, and I can kill you and you better get out right now. He doesn't have to do that. Just by breaking in, he already knows that he's doing something wrong, and the homeowner can kill him even without any forewarning. Now that we mentioned this baraita here that says that someone breaking into a house does not need a forewarning, the homeowner can kill him without a forewarning, that leads to the next topic of a katan. Amar Rav Huna, katan harodef nitan nasilo benafsho. Rav Huna has a rule that if a child, a minor, is running after someone to kill him, you might have a child, it could be a 10-year-old, is holding a gun and running after someone, and this 10-year-old is going to kill someone. Can a bystander kill the 10-year-old or the one being pursued kill the 10-year-old to save his life? And the answer is yes. So Rav Huna evidently agrees with this baraita here that a pursuer does not need to be warned, and it doesn't matter if it's an adult or a child. If you did need warning, then it would be a problem to kill a child, because then you'd have to give warning to an adult and also to a child, but the child would not be responsible enough to understand the warning, understand the consequences, so we wouldn't be able to hold a child liable to in such a case, and would not be able to kill the child. But the fact that you don't need a warning, not for an adult, that allows the possibility that one can stop a child pursuer by killing the child. However, Rav Chisda challenges Rav Huna's ruling from a baraita that says if a woman is giving birth and the head of the baby already emerges and the mother's life is in danger, we do not touch the child, because we do not push away one life because of another. Once the child head emerges, it is considered a full life, a full human being, and therefore one cannot harm the child in order to save the mother. The idea is that before it emerges, if a woman is pregnant and having trouble during childbirth and her life is in danger, in order to save her life, we need to abort the pregnancy, well, then that would be permitted, even necessary, to save the life of a mother, because the life of the mother takes precedence over the potential life of the fetus. However, once the head emerges, it's a full life. And now we ask, Ve'amai rodefu, why can't we kill the baby, since the baby is running after the life of the mother? Rav Huna, you said that even a child, you didn't give any age, so even a 1 day old or 1 minute old baby is threatening the mother's life, so we should be able, according to you, Rav Huna, to kill the baby to save the mother. But here, this baraita says one does not do so. Why not? And Rav Huna can answer, Shanehatam de Mishimaya Karat Fila. No, that case is different, because the mother's life is being pursued from heaven. It's just from the natural course of the dangers of childbirth and the heavenly decree that this is what's going to happen. The baby isn't doing anything. The baby doesn't know what's going on. It's just being born. It has no choice in the matter. And so you can't compare that to a 11-year-old who's running with a gun to kill someone. Yeah, that person you can kill. It's clear that that child is directly causing the murder, although they're not fully responsible, but they have some idea what they're doing. They can't compare that to childbirth, which is just a natural event. All right, so we answered that question. Let's try to bring a proof for Rav Huna from the following baraita. Rodef shaya rodef achar chavero lehorgo, omer lo re'esh sheYisrael hu, uben beritu, v'atorah amra shofech dam ha'adam ba'adam damo yishafech, amra Torah hasel damo shel zeh b'damo shel zeh. So this should be a proof that for Rav Huna that even a child can be killed, because one does not need a forewarning in order to kill a pursuer. And here it says that if someone is running after someone else to kill him, so A is running after B to kill him, C, a bystander, can say, hey, don't you know this person that you're trying to kill is a Jewish person? He's part of the covenant. And the Torah says, anyone who spills the life of a man by a man, his life will be spilled. In other words, you're not allowed to commit murder. And the Torah says that one is allowed to save the blood of this one with the blood of that one, meaning I have the right to stop you and kill you, right, Mr. Pursuer, if you continue pursuing this guy, and therefore you better stop or else. So this is a warning. However, in order to be an official warning in halacha, we need the perpetrator to acknowledge and say, yes, I know it's not allowed, and I am doing it anyway, on condition that you kill me. I want to get capital punishment. And here, there's no response. So therefore, since there's no response, this is not actually an official warning. So we see from here is that actually you don't need a warning. So then there's a good proof for it. Rav Huna, who also says assumes that you don't need a warning, and therefore one can kill even a child who is being a pursuer. That's the attempted proof. And we say no, not necessarily. Hahi Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda hi datanya. Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda omer chaver en tzarich hatra lefi shelo nitana hatra ela labchin ben shogeg lemezid. This baraita might be the authored by Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda, because he says in another baraita that a chaver, meaning a learned person, you do not have to give a warning to. If a learned person is violating Shabbat or committing some adultery or any whatever like that, one does not need a warning in order to give them capital punishment, because the chaver knows the law. And the only reason that you need the warning is to distinguish between shogeg and mezid. If someone's not learned, then you have to give them the warning. Hey, cooking those eggs on Shabbat, you should know that cooking eggs is not allowed. And this is the punishment that happens if you do it. He might not have known. So if you don't give him a warning, then afterwards you could say, oh, I didn't know. I was missing in class that day. I never knew that cooking on Shabbat is not allowed. And then you can't give him capital punishment. So if he's unlearned, you have to give capital punishment. He has to acknowledge it in order for it to be mezid, so that we can give him capital punishment. But if someone's learned, then we can assume he knows it, and he does not require capital punishment according to Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda. Chachamim disagree, and Abam actually decides like Chachamim. Now, this reasoning applies to the pursuer also. If someone is running after someone to harm him, to kill him, then it's clear that he has negative intentions. He must know that he's doing something wrong, and therefore he does not require a warning. But this baraita might be only the opinion of Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda. Other Chachamim will say you always need a warning, no matter what, even for a chaver who is knowledgeable, knows what he's doing. They might say that in the case of a pursuer, one also needs a warning, even though it's clear he knows he's doing something wrong. Nevertheless, you always need a warning. And so it could be that this is a minority opinion, and therefore not necessarily a good proof for Rav Huna. Now we'll bring a similar baraita, but this one has an added part at the end, and we'll bring this as a proof against Rav Huna. Tashema rodef shaya rodef achad chabaro lehorgo amad lo ראה שישראל הוא בן בריתו והתורה אמרה שופך דם האדם באדם דמו יישפך. אם אמר יודע אני שהוא כן פטור על מנת כן אני עושה חייב. Someone was running after someone else to kill him, and a third person sees him and says, you should know this person is a Jewish person and he's part of the covenant, and Torah says anyone who spills blood by a person, his blood will be spilt. That's true not only after the fact, if you bring him to court, it's true even now. I'm allowed to kill you to stop you from pursuing that person. So listen, I'm going to kill you. Your blood is worth nothing right now. I have a right to kill you. You better stop. If the pursuer says, I know that that's true, patur, that's not sufficient just by saying he knows it. He has to actually allow himself to be killed by saying, on condition of that, I am doing it. On condition that I be killed, right? Yes, you can kill me. I know that I deserve I know what I'm doing is wrong. I know that I get capital punishment, and I'm doing it for that very reason, so that I will get capital punishment. So go ahead and kill me. He has to say that. By the way, we can understand why there was hardly ever a case, if ever there was a case of capital punishment, because, all right, what kind of person is going to say, yes, I know and I'm doing it on condition that I will be killed? It's like this person really has to have almost suicide by crime. He wants to be killed. Okay, so that's why it doesn't usually happen. But in any case, you see in this baraita that a warning is necessary, because this is an official warning, since he acknowledges it and has to acknowledge it and say al menat ken. So this would seem to say that one does need to give a warning to a pursuer. And if so, one would not be able to kill a pursuer who is a child. And this is a challenge against Rav Huna. We answer, La sedicha de ka'e betre ibre de nahara. De lama se asulahem. Ma'ika de ba'e ituye le bedina. Bedina ba'e hatra'a. Oh, you know what? This B'raita is talking about a case where the pursuer and the person giving the warning are on opposite sides of a river. So there's no way for the person who is the third party who's giving a warning to kill the pursuer and save the person that is going to be the victim. So what is he doing? Why is he giving him a warning? Because he wants to bring him to court afterwards. Listen, he's there with someone else. They are witnesses to the murder, and so he's giving a warning to say, listen, you're about to commit murder. You should know that it will be capital punishment. And he has to say, yes, I know it's not allowed. I know I will get capital punishment, and I'm doing it on that condition. And in order to kill him in court, he would need witnesses and a warning. That's why he needed a warning here. But if he was stopping a pursuer himself before he acts, then he would not need a warning. And so this B'raita might be talking about a different case of bringing him to Bet Din and not someone shooting the pursuer before he kills, in which case one would not need a warning. So Rav Huna could answer that way. Or another answer, or Rav Huna could say, yes, indeed, the author of this B'raita thinks that you do need a warning in order to stop a pursuer, and there, according to that Tana, one would not be able to kill a child who's running after someone else. However, I don't have to agree with that Tana because I agree with the other Tana, the one that we saw above, that said the word machteret comes to teach us that by tunneling into the tunnel, that the tunnel is his warning. He's already forewarned and therefore does not need a warning, and that would be true for any pursuer. And that's why Rav Huna says, I follow that opinion. And according to that opinion, no need a warning, then you can kill a child who is pursuing after someone else. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen ve'amen.